Hello all, this is Digital Pariah, bringing you a sneak peek at the upcoming free-to-play MMO RaiderZ. First up, let's look at character creation, an integral part of any MMO. Once you've selected your character's sex, name and vocal style, it's straight through to picking your character class. There's only one race in the game, but thankfully there's a whole host of visual customization available to make your character as individual as possible. We have 4 classes to choose from: the Defender, who's your staple tank class, the Berserker, who's your melee DPS, a Sorcerer for ranged DPS, and finally the Cleric, obviously the healing class. Just like most Korean MMOs on the market, you have a varied selection of hairstyles and a rainbow of colours to choose from. Each face also has multiple variations to allow you to make your character your own. If you want your character to have a purple afro with a 5 o'clock shadow, it's entirely possible. So let's look at the mechanics, starting with the combat. Firmly action oriented, you have no targeting system, and attacks are made with a click of the left mouse, allowing you to easily circle around your enemies. Quick tap of the right mouse button push into defensive stats, which allows you to negate or reduce damage. Finally, using shift and a direction key allows you to roll and dodge away from incoming attacks. Each dodge decreases your stamina bar, so it must be used sparingly, but can easily determine the outcome of a battle. Having this freestyle approach to combat allows players to attack and defend against multiple enemies simultaneously, regardless of the player class or even their combat strength. An original aspect of the game that was shown off at E3 is the ability to steal defeated enemies' weapons and use them yourself. Once acquired, these weapons give you new abilities specific to the item you've looted, disabling your standard attacks. These are temporary items with either a limited use or limited time duration, but are normally more powerful than your own attacks. With the absence of instancing, all boss enemies will spawn throughout the open world on the server. It's obvious this model is open to farming and griefing, as the boss creatures normally spawn within seconds of being defeated. Much like instance bosses in our MMOs, most of these enemies take much longer to defeat, have considerably more health, and have phases of attack as their health dwindles. Working out these attack patterns are the key to defeating these giant creatures, and working in a group increases your survivability. But with the combat mechanics in play, it's entirely possible to defeat some of the earlier bosses all alone. Skill development is approached in a new way with RaiderZ, allowing you to customise your character to a much greater degree. Once you've developed your primary class far enough, you can branch out into the other 3 classes, building a character that suits your playstyle, whether that be a Sorcerer who can change to Berserker for two-handed damage in close combat, or a Defender-Cleric hybrid who can sustain huge amounts of damage by keeping himself healed. The variety possible is one of RaiderZ's most promising features. The facility to equip 2 sets of weapons allows the change between classes to be performed at the press of a button. Questing is your standard MMO staple, with NPCs giving you kill X creatures or collect X items quests. Although not as grind heavy as some MMOs, this does get repetitive fast and detracts from the attention paid to the storyline. Leaving the best for last, we finally come to the crafting. As you go about your adventures, you will pick up items for the 3 crafting professions: cooking, armorsmithing and weaponsmithing. Unlike most MMOs in the market today, you do not have to train up your respective skills or personally learn recipes, as all items are constructed by NPCs, who simply require that you have the sufficient materials for the item you want and enough coin to pay for their services. All in all, RaiderZ is shaping up as a good-looking, solid, free-to-play MMO. It seems rather than going after the customer base of the heavyweights of the genre, it is instead sidling up to offer players something with enough differences to stand out on its own.